Hey guys, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. So did some more thinking about what in the actual heck might be going on here with the Bitcoin price. Talked to some people on Twitter, talked to some people on Telegram. Let's run through some Wyckoff stuff. I mentioned it in yesterday's video. Let's talk about accumulation versus distribution. I also mentioned random walk on Twitter. If you're not familiar with that is, that just basically is anti-TA. Random walk just says it's impossible to outperform the market, i.e. You're not going to beat randomness, basically. That's what it's saying. TA and my thesis is that you can beat the market using TA. Anyway, so let's talk about Wyckoff. He was a dude, did some stuff back in the day, made a bunch of money. A bunch of other people talk about Wyckoff way more than I do. Bitcoin, Schmitcoin, that other group on Twitter and on YouTube that got in a fight with Bitcoin, Schmitcoin a while back. Whatever. Go check them out. Definitely going to be more informative in some aspects than I am, just because I don't use this every day like they do. Basically what it is an attempt to use price structure to determine where things are at in a trend, or if a trend is on the horizon or whatever. The two key, well, there's really three key aspects. Accumulation, which is the bottom of the phases, or the lows, the ultimate lows, okay. Distribution would be the ultimate highs. The general idea is that the smart money is buying here and the smart money is selling here up at distribution. In between those phases, you have either mark up or mark down, depending on if you're coming in or out of accumulation or distribution. There are a bunch of words that go along with this stuff. I don't really pay attention to most of it. It's good to know certain things like selling climax, spring, upper thrust, buying climax, automatic rally, failed rally. Everything else is kind of whatever to me. So if we look at specifically accumulation distribution, here's what accumulation would possibly look like. And the reason I'm thinking about this now as opposed to 2 months from now is because I'm trying to figure out, are we in distribution? Are we in accumulation? Is there a way to tell? Is there a way to know ahead of time? Obviously that's going to have massive value for you if you are able to figure that out sooner than other people. So this is what distribution would look like if that would happen in our case now. It's generally showing that we are due for another basically retest of all-time high. You even see things like inverted head and shoulders in here. This is just a schematic, obviously, of what it may look like, not necessarily would always look like. So you get this higher high, this upper thrust, and it ends up not going anywhere, and then basically just falls off the table, right? And makes lower lows, SOW, sign of weakness, and it just keeps going, and then boom, you get this downtrend after you make successive lows, basically. So that's one example of how it might look. This is another where you get a third high that doesn't go anywhere. UTAD is upper thrust after distribution, and then it just, again, drops off the table. So if you're comparing the two, in either case, I expect some sort of retest of highs. In Bitcoin's case, probably not 20K if this is distribution. Probably somewhere between 15 and 18. I don't know. Based on this, it would have to be a higher high. But that's just my opinion of Bitcoin in general. So this is accumulation. Now we had textbook accumulation in 2014-15, and I'll show you that on another chart. But again, basically you're just flipping distribution. So you get selling climax, automatic rally, and then you get another low, and sometimes you get a spring, which is what you really want to see. It's the opposite of the upper thrust. It's a lower low that is low volume and quickly reverses, basically, and then you're off to the races from there. And you'll notice this looks very much like an ascending triangle or a bullish pennant, flag, whatever you want to call it. And then boom, you're off to the races with your trend. And again, if you're looking at phase C, I wouldn't worry too much about the phases, but I'm not a Wyckoff master. So, you know, that's like someone telling me, don't worry about certain things on the cloud. That's blasphemy. All right, so let's get to Bitcoin, back to Bitcoin again. And like I said, textbook accumulation. Lots of people have talked about this, but I didn't know it at the time, but it was the perfect example of what you want to see. We're getting these selling climax, automatic rally, and we don't actually get lower lows here, which is one reason why my hypothesis that we won't get higher highs, new all-time high basically, sort of makes sense to me, but who knows. So anyway, yeah, selling climax, automatic rally, we're just stuck in this range, and we get this to me and many people was a spring at the time, even though it wasn't a lower low. On some exchanges, I think it actually, no, I think this was the lowest it went. Anyway, this is a spring, and then boom. So if we assume this is accumulation, and it's the best we're going to get, and as an example in Bitcoin, we can flip it. On the chart, you just type in 1 minus blah blah blah, it'll flip it. So this is that same area flipped around, and it looks really good for distribution, which it should. If it was perfect accumulation, it should look really good for distribution. This is Bitfinex, the other one was an index. So you can see we get buying climax, automatic sell-off, signs of weakness, or whatever that they call it. And a retest of highs. This is upper thrust after distribution, and then it kind of just falls off the table, makes new lows. Basically here, when it's consolidating at lows, that's when you call it a night, and off to the races. So this is inverted chart. So this is what we don't want to see with Bitcoin now, if it is going to go higher. So that brings us to the newly unveiled ultra super secret tech of this current Pitchfork, and how this came about. I was looking at this triangle, which someone posted on Twitter. I should get their name so I can shout them out. The triangle makes sense to me, but I was thinking these lows keep getting higher. There's got to be something else that might be here. So I put the anchor all the way back on the 2013 all-time high, just to see what it looked like, and it actually looks pretty good. Certainly not perfect, but makes enough sense to me. There's actually a chance that we see some upper limit of this between 19 and 35 by January. Now the lower end of that makes the most sense, just because that's the mean. The other thing, if this is distribution, if this is accumulation, we're going to be stuck, I think, in this horizontal zone, basically where the yearly pivot is here at whatever it is, 12K, I don't remember. We'll be stuck in here, and we'll be making these, like, you know, zigzag things until we make a spring, or we just consolidate and you know, we're back off to the races again up in here to the upper limit of this. So remember, anchor 2013. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but based on the rate of change, the slope, not impossible that we are up here again, you know, at the upper limit sometime before January. So I'll have to say on that. I'll link all this stuff below. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter, and happy trading.